Hello, Dr. Vicki Peterson here. I'm often asked the question, how much gluten can I eat if I have a mild gluten sensitivity? And I really want to address that. Not only is it a common question, but it's very important to be understood. So we have two big conditions we're looking at when it comes to gluten. There is celiac disease, which is a very serious autoimmune disease. These individuals can frequently pick up even a speck of gluten. If somebody dropped a crumb on their salad, they can get sick because of it. Their immune system is that sensitive. Not all celiacs are that way, however. We'll come back to that in a moment. And then there are patients with gluten sensitivity. It is not an autoimmune disease in and of itself, and those individuals run the spectrum of being very sensitive or much less so. And so what you're looking at is being diagnosed with gluten sensitivity in this particular case, and cheating occasionally and not feeling a response as far as your body's concerned. So of course, if you ingest something and you don't feel badly afterwards, you think, oh, I guess that was okay. So that's the main item I really want to put our attention on, because gluten can be very silent. It can do its damage silently. You cannot feel that you are having a reaction to it. Unfortunately, I always tell my patients who have dramatic reactions like getting a migraine or severe gastrointestinal complaints that they're kind of lucky, because A, they know when they got contaminated if they weren't outwardly cheating, and B, that reaction makes them never want to cheat again. So in that regard, that they're fortunate. So for those who get into gluten and don't feel different as a result, it's a little more difficult to be as perfect as you need to be. And that is another point, is that when you're gluten sensitive, zero tolerance is the only policy. There is not a little bit of cheating that's okay. And there's no such thing as a mild gluten sensitivity. You either are or you're not. If you are, you can't have any gluten, period. Now, I'll put myself in this category because I too am gluten sensitive, are a little more fortunate, because if somebody did drop a crumb on our salad, not only might we not react, but our immune system might not even react. It's so low that our threshold is a little bit higher, so we have a higher tolerance, if you will, to a little bit of contamination. Now that's a little bit of contamination, like a crumb. I'm not talking about eating a cookie, okay? So big difference. So it's important to realize that the symptoms of gluten sensitivity can be overt, or they can be kind of hidden. If you're getting inflammation of your liver or inflammation of your thyroid, or your hormones are going askew, this is not something you can feel. Now eventually you'll feel it when so much damage has occurred and you're diagnosed with some disease that gluten caused. Of course, then you'll know you have the problem, but you don't want to wait until that point. So number one is to get the diagnosis, and then do realize no such thing as a mild gluten sensitivity. You can't have any. Now, let's look at a couple of other things. What about someone who has not been diagnosed but just feels better when they eat less gluten or no gluten? So in this case, you could still either have an individual who has not been diagnosed, realize our diagnostic abilities for celiac disease and gluten sensitivity are quite poor. 95% plus of people with these conditions are undiagnosed. So this person could be literally have one of those conditions and not be diagnosed, or they might just be in tune with their body and realize that very refined grains, the type of gluten we get exposed to so frequently in this country, is not the healthiest type of food. When you think of a bun on a hamburger or pizza or cookies or cakes, this is not health food. So they might just be aware enough to say, gee, I don't feel as good when I eat that, because it's not particularly good for anyone. On that point, do remember that the proteins in gluten are not completely digestible by anyone, so from that perspective it might not be the best food for anyone, meaning all humans, regardless of whether they're sensitive or not, are incapable of fully digesting this protein. In other words, fully getting the benefits of the protein. We just physically can't do it as human beings. So an interesting point to note. So what should you do? First of all, you should definitely find out, do you have celiac disease or gluten sensitivity? I wish there was an absolute foolproof test that you could take and we would know definitively 100%, but we're not there yet. I really like the test from Celiac Labs. It's a blood test, so you obviously need to do it through your doctor, but it's the most comprehensive one on the market I'm aware of. If you did that and backed it up with the classic celiac panel, I think you'd have a pretty good look at things. That doesn't mean there's not still false negatives. There are. So we always like to back it up with a 30-day elimination diet. So if you very carefully, be precise, know what gluten is and what it isn't, so that when you do the 30 days, you're doing it accurately. That's very important. So get off gluten for 30 days. If you feel better, that's a positive test. You can go forward with that. If you want to know if you carry the genes, Entero Lab is a lab, an online lab. That's E-N-T-E-R-O. I'm not affiliated with any lab, just so you know. But you can go online through Entero Lab and not only do the genetic test to see if you have celiac or gluten-sensitive genes. That's good if you're wondering. Or they also have a test that if you've stopped eating gluten, it's still accurate. So they're kind of unique in that regard. So I hope this answers the question. If you're wondering whether you're sensitive and you need some help, definitely feel free to call me or contact me. That's what I'm here for. If you're already off gluten, felt better, but now some symptoms are coming back and you know you're not cheating, definitely let me know, because that's where we definitely help a lot of people from all over the world, which has to do with the secondary effects of gluten. So contact me. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. And until next time, I wish you very good health.